Hello everyone, welcome back to the Dork side. I'm the Dork on the road, and today we are going to pit the brand new 2021 Dual Sport 300cc offerings from Honda and Kawasaki against each other and see which one comes out on top. Theoretically speaking, of course, because can't actually ride them yet. That's right, everyone. I'm the Dork on the road, and I want to be your internet riding buddy, so please consider subscribing, and don't forget to turn on those notifications so that you know when I post awesome new content just like this. Over the past couple of months, Honda and Kawasaki both shocked the dual sport world with news that they were introducing brand new 300cc dual sport models for 2021. People have asked for it for years. They've been looking for upgrades to these entry-level dual sport bikes, and finally, at the same time, both Kawasaki and Honda are delivering. So both of these bikes are an upgrade to existing models. The KLX300S is an upgrade to the KLX250S, and the CRF300L is an upgrade to the CRF250L. Both of the new models are replacing their predecessors. With the news of these brand new 300cc dual sports both hitting the North American market at the same time, the question becomes, how do they stack up against each other? So we're going to take a little bit of a dive, a deep dive, a semi-deep dive, a mildly deep dive into the stats and just see if one is clearly better than the other based on the stats available right now. Let's look at each bike individually and then we'll talk about how they compare. So we'll start with the Kawasaki KLX300S. So the 2021 Kawasaki KLX300S has a single-cylinder, dual overhead cam fuel-injected engine with 292 cc's. It has a 6-speed transmission, the seat height is 35.2 inches, it has 10.8 inches of ground clearance, 10 inches of suspension travel in the front. You can adjust the compression damping on the front suspension. There are 9.1 inches of rear suspension travel, and you can adjust compression, rebound, and preload on the rear. Estimated horsepower, and this is sort of not totally defined because official numbers aren't available, so you got to just find what you can. But Canada Moto Guide says that the horsepower will be 26 horsepower. The bike is going to weigh 302.1 pounds, have a 2-gallon fuel capacity, and it's going to retail for $55.99 for the green version and $57.99 for the camel gray version. You got to pay a little extra for the cooler color. So that's the KLX300S. The brand new 2021 Honda CRF300L, on the other hand, is also a single-cylinder dual overhead cam fuel-injected motor with 286 cc's of displacement. It's a 6-speed transmission, has 34.7 inches of seat height, 11.2 inches of ground clearance, front suspension travel of 10.2, and also rear suspension travel of 10.2 inches. The estimated horsepower, I've seen different estimates. Revzilla says 27. I've also seen 31, but it's going to be in that 27-28 horsepower range, most likely. The weight is 309 pounds, the fuel capacity is 2.1 gallons, and the MSRP for the base model 2021 Honda CRF300L is $52.49. There are actually 4 versions of the CRF300L coming. The regular base model version, the ABS base model version, the Rally version, and the Rally ABS version. And there are a few significant changes to the Rally. It's kind of a whole different animal, but let me just give you a few of those pieces before we kind of dive into the comparison. The seat height on the Rally is a little taller, it's 35.2 inches. The ground clearance on the Rally is less, 10.9 inches. It weighs a little bit more at 333 pounds and has much more fuel capacity at 3.4 gallons. It's also quite a bit more expensive at $59.99 for the regular Rally and $62.99 for the Rally with ABS. So that's the stats. That's what they look like on paper. So let's take a little bit of a deeper dive into the comparison between the two. Let me give you a rundown of the differences between them. Overall, I think it's pretty obvious that they're going to be very similar bikes, and that's not surprising because the CRF250L and the KLX250S were not that different either. Honestly, some of the differences between the previous models are also the same differences that you're going to find on the new upcoming models. But here are the most obvious differences. I'm just going to compare the base models because the Rally and the Supermoto are like entirely different animals. So for the sake of our comparison, we're just going to talk base model bikes. The KLX has a slightly bigger engine, 292 cc's versus 286 cc's on the Honda. The Honda seat height is a ½ inch shorter, but it also has almost ½ an inch more ground clearance. So that's interesting, shorter but more clearance. The Honda may have slightly more horsepower, but again, take that with a massive grain of salt because we just don't know for sure yet. And they're within the close enough category that I'm not really sure how much of a difference you're going to notice. If it's 4 horsepower more, when you're talking about 30 versus 26, you might notice it, but if we're talking about 27 to 28, it's really going to be a negligible difference. But on paper, the Honda has more horsepower. The KLX is almost 10 pounds lighter. The Honda has a slightly bigger fuel tank, but it's 0.1 gallons, and I really doubt you're going to notice the difference. The Honda is $300 cheaper, which when you're talking the price of a brand new bike, that's not a lot of money, but it's not nothing. It's enough to get you in a couple accessories. And Honda has available ABS if you're into that kind of thing. So if you really want a bike with ABS, the choice for you is clear. You have to get the Honda CRF300L with ABS. Honestly, on paper, this is not a very satisfying answer, but they're very similar motorcycles. There's no like glaring, oh my god, this one is so much better than the other, because the stats are very similar. We're talking 5% difference at best in most of the important categories, except for one. There is one big advantage that I see to the KLX over the Honda, and that is the adjustable front and rear suspension. If you are going to be getting into anything mildly technical, moderately technical, then it's nice to have that adjustability to know that the bike is set up for your weight, but I cannot stress enough that probably the difference between these two motorcycles is not going to be massive, even with that advantage. If I had to pick one based entirely on the stats I'm looking at right now, I would pick the KLX, because in my mind, that suspension adjustability gives it a little bit of an advantage. But in real life, I would ride both and see which one I liked and which one felt the best to me. That's how I'd make that decision, and that's what I would advise you to do if you're trying to decide between them. What's the bottom line? Which one is better? That's why you're here. That's why you clicked on this video. Well, it's a cliche and it's not satisfying, but honestly, it's true in this case. You cannot go wrong with either bike. They're both going to be rock solid, reliable, super capable, entry-level, beginner-friendly, dual sport motorcycles. They're going to be better than their predecessors, more power, more fun, but you're going to have a lot of fun with these bikes, and they're going to be able to do just about anything you want them to do. Seriously. Either one is going to take you from home to the highway to the trail and back again, and you're going to have a hell of a time doing all three of them. My suspicion is that based on its lineage and the time that I've spent on the Honda CRF300L, is that the Honda 300L is probably going to be slightly more beginner friendly, slightly more forgiving, slightly easier to ride, and more approachable. So if you're a brand new rider who's never ridden before, I might point you towards the CRF300L. If you're a more intermediate rider or somebody who's had some street experience that's moving to a dual sport, you might be slightly happier with the Kawasaki. Again, I am grasping at straws here because the differences are so minimal. You're going to be happy either way. If you're really trying to get into super hardcore stuff and you want to know which one of these bikes is better for that, I might point you towards a Husky KTM or a Honda CRF300L, because either way, these are entry-level bikes. They're designed to be easy to ride and not intimidating, and they give up some capability in order to make that happen. Either way, I'm very excited about both these bikes. I'm eager to see how they stack up against each other, and I'm also eager to see how they compare to my beloved Suzuki DRZ400S. Who knows? One or both of these bikes may be the 6-speed fuel-injected DRZ killer we've been hoping for forever. It could be. I can't wait to ride one and find out. Ultimately, end of the day, like I said 14 times in this video, they're very similar bikes, and I think the choice is going to come down to riding them and seeing which one feels right to you. And if you still can't make a decision, well, just go with the one that looks cooler, because you're going to be happy either way. Trust me. So what do you think? Looking at the stats, looking at what you've seen and read about the KLX300 and the Honda CRF300L, which bike do you think is going to be better? Which one do you think about getting? Let me know in the comments. I'm eager to see what you guys are looking forward to about these two bikes. But for now, and as always, I just want to say thank you very much for watching, and please do not forget to be excellent to each other. Thank you.
Excellent!
Oh, you guys thought I made these videos sober?